Yeah, it went from like 120 to 70. And now, like I said, most of that is gone. So.
Well, as the voice from beyond tells us, it is time to get started. I'm trying to be cognizant of everybody's lunch hour. Welcome to our community chat for September. We are excited to have members of the Cozad Community Foundation here. They are busy working on a huge project, and they're going to tell us more about that. And then, of course, David Cozad is coming up too, so we're hoping that they just give us all sorts of information about the foundation and what they do and kind of where they're going and how we, as citizens of Cozad, can help that. I am Lori Yoakum. I'm the director here at Wilson Public Library, and just a reminder that we are being recorded today. And Rob Geiser is here with the foundation, as is Bree Snyder. And Scott Zimmelman just walked in. He's on the foundation as well. Yeah. So welcome, foundation members. So we just do this kind of as a round table. We let you start talking about the foundation, and then we just kind of pipe in with questions. So
super. Well, I'm going to pass out a few things. So you mentioned Give Big Cozad. I think that deserves the first amount of our time, because that is coming up on November 7th. It is our foundation's way of engaging all sorts of philanthropy in our community. And we are fortunate because Give Big Lexington, through the Lexington Community Foundation, allows us access to their platform in order to be a part of the Give Big Day. And there are communities, Sumner, Elwood, Gothenburg, as well as Cozad and Lexington, Overton, that all participate in that day. And it is a day of giving, like I said, that supports in Cozad anywhere from 26, I think we've had up to 32 causes. And it's kind of that one-stop shop for someone who wants to be engaged in philanthropy and wants to be engaged in giving. They can come and see the causes that are a part of the event. You can do it online. There is a website, so you can research the causes that are a part of the Giving Day. And I think that there are lots of people in our community who have the heart of giving. They just sometimes don't know how to get involved or how to give. And sometimes also it's just our, of things, because we are a small community. So of causes, but you don't know really what their missions are, who really do they serve. And I think what we oftentimes see even as our own organization, there's a need, and so you sometimes try to fill it, even though maybe it might not be 100% mission aligned, but it's a need of the community. And so I think we've seen a lot of organizations in our community that have tried to fill gaps that, arose for whatever reason. And so I think this event in and of itself, one, helps to raise awareness for all of the causes of our community. It helps bring awareness to our organization. And it helps us to also show to people, we don't have to be afraid of having other philanthropies, philanthropic organizations in our community, because we think they're going to take money away from ours. That's not true. I think we have to be open to people need to give what speaks to their heart, what, fulfills them, and we all benefit, in that essence. And so I really think that's what this Give Big is all about at the base of it. And I think it's really important for us to be a part of that. Our organization bears the cost for all the other organizations to participate. We pay a fee to the Community Foundation in Lexington, and we actually pay all of the processing fees on the backside of this. So anyone that gives online, there is a fee to that, and we pay all of those costs out of our own operational funds. So I think it's really important, and I think, again, it shows our commitment to all the other organizations in our community. And maybe we don't have the ability yet because we aren't a large enough organization to, dispense money as we would wish, but maybe there will come a time. And in the interim of that, this gives us that platform to help other causes that might have even less than we do, or they might have even more than we do. But if we can help to further their mission, I think that furthers our mission of creating a space in our community for people to give. And that really was the premise Cozad Community Foundation was founded on. So
I know that, what is this, year 5 of Give Big Cozad?
Well, for sure four, because we did it, it'd be 4, because
Did you
the
start
first
in
year was
COVID?
COVID year.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I know from the Library Foundation's perspective, you always do a great job of reaching out to organizations that were part of it in the year before. For people who might be watching online, or might read about it in the paper, what's the criteria and when do they have to tell you that they're interested in becoming part of Give Big as an organization?
So we have an organization form, and this is available online, that has to be completed by September 1st in order for a group to be a participant in the platform. And I will tell you, as we've gotten started, we've allowed some flexibility in that because we want to engage as many people as we can, but we do have some deadlines that we need to meet in order to get the giving page up. And again, we are a volunteer organization, so, we rely on our board members. It's a very much a working board. We rely on our board members to do all of this work. So, trying to be cognizant of what we're asking our board members to do, if we can have these back by the 1st. And so there are 5 things on this application form, questions wise. So the organization has to tell us their history and their mission, what their goal is, how does the organization champion the Cozad community, what organizational events do they have planned, and then, just their name, address, email, that kind of stuff. We do also like to have their logo and pictures, because obviously we're building a website that people can go and learn about. And we all know that sometimes if it's all words, people don't enjoy, looking at that and maybe don't stay engaged as we want them to. So if we can put the pictures in that tell the story a little bit, that helps us. And I will tell you, we are very flexible in what causes can be on here, so long as their mission really is for the betterment of Cozad.
Do they have to be a 501?
They do not have to be a 501c3. Now, obviously, we are, and we do all the tax reporting for this type of event, but there are cases when someone is doing a project for the good of the community, they don't have the capacity to become a 501c3. So this allows us to be the vehicle to help them achieve that goal. And so, our board has to use some discretion in that. Obviously, if there is profit to be made for some private person for a business, those things are not going to be allowed to be on our platform. This truly is a space for philanthropy and giving. And in order for us to protect our 501c3 designation, we do have some diligence that we will do. It unfortunately isn't open to everyone, but we do try to keep it with the broadest perspective that we can.
Yeah. How many organizations were part of this last year? Do you know off the top of your head?
26, I believe.
That's what I was gonna say, 26.
I know we have had up to 32 in previous years, but I believe last year there were, maybe 26 to 28 that were engaged.
And we do have a couple of office hour days coming up that specifically for the Give Big, if organizations want help completing these forms or, just have questions on how everything works. And so those are gonna be Monday, August 19th from 11 to 1, and then again from 3 to 5. And then Monday, August 26th from 9 to 5. So just for those, if you want to participate in Give Big Cozad and just need some assistance with the forms or, how to do that, those are when we are offering help with those.
Do you have an office? Where is it?
Oh, so it's going to be in the CDC conference room. Sorry. Yes, thank you.
We thought that maybe there would be some organizations who haven't participated and aren't really sure. And so it would give them some time one-on-one to talk about, what is required of me to be a part of this, or my organization to be a part of this event. And so we're hoping that it helps those that maybe just have some uncertainty or have some questions, that we can get them answered, and also gather this information so that we can create their webpage to be a part of the Giving Day.
Yeah, and for people who haven't been to Give Big, Cozad, can you talk a little bit about what's gonna happen
So that-
on November 7th?
Like, the event itself is probably my favorite part, of course. The fact that you can see, so we typically set up in the Elks Club in the lodge room. Is that what it's called, the lodge room? And each participating organization can have a booth, if you will, of showcasing their cause. And that's, to me, is the coolest part, because then you can see who's backing those things, what people in our community are tied to these different organizations. I love that part. I think it's really cool. And then if they have something special that they're working toward, they can showcase that, whether it be, a new playground or a new dog park or something, they have an actual project that, they're wanting these funds to help with. And so that's been really cool. And we call it a business after hours. The community can come and have hors d'oeuvres and drinks and just walk around and see the different causes, and then, hopefully also donate to whatever's tugging at their heart to give to. But yeah, it's the neatest part of the whole project is that day. And it's also a fun day for us as board members, because then we all get to hang out with each other, not really having an agenda, and we just get to enjoy each other and raise money for the different organizations in our community.
And last year you really seemed to have a social media push. Are you planning on doing that again this year? Like, you had some special challenges?
I'm that old guy.
Hey, but we're not.
It's all right.
So we aren't doing the challenges the way that we had in the past. Now, we will still have a very big social media presence that day. Unfortunately, we didn't have the participation in all of those challenges that we would have liked. And so we've decided this year that we won't do that, but we're going to focus on a few other new things, and in hopes to engage more people in the day. And again, our biggest push will be that 5 to 7. Obviously, giving is from 7 to 7, and that's when we will be at the Elks Club, and people can drop contributions off at any point throughout the day. But we want to encourage, even if you come early and give, we want to encourage people to come back from that 5 to 7 period, and we want people to speak to one another and talk about causes and, community. And this really is about community pride, community building. And as Bree said, it is so fun to watch what can happen in a day in our small community. To think that, we can raise $100,000 in a day's time is really remarkable. And it's fun to see that, to watch it happen, and so I encourage everybody to be a part of it. And what I also want people to understand, this is for everyone. Whether your capacity to give is $5 or $5,000, it really is for everyone, because our community is about everyone. And the more people that are engaged in this and feel ownership in community, the better off our community will be. And so I just can't stress that enough. If they can be a part of the day, even if for a brief period of time, I think the best action happens from 5 to 7. So I would encourage people to come check it out for themselves.
Well, I see on your flyer that there's a multiple ways to give. You can do checks, cash, Venmo, PayPal, gifts by Wills and Trusts. Scott might be my person to ask, please. Gifts that provide income, memorials, stocks, and farm commodities. Tell me more about that, Scott.
Well, I don't know that, I guess we have had a variety, and I don't know necessarily a Give Big Days, probably more at our Red Day event where we have had people make stock contributions. I think there's some tax advantages in some cases for those folks as far as they don't necessarily have to pay taxes on the gains on those stocks that they may have held for a while, then pass that on to us. We don't typically hold those. We'll liquidate them immediately and turn to cash. Our goal is not to.
Be an investment firm.
Correct. Yeah, we don't want to accumulate assets necessarily. We want to have liquid assets that we can use in the community. So that'd be on the stocks. I don't know if we've had farm commodities previously donated it to us, but folks they can deliver things to say PD Grain and donate back commodity to us, be the same story. We're not going to hold it there and try to decide when we think a good time to sell. As soon as we take ownership of it, we're most likely going to liquidate that and turn that into cash. Wills Trust, I don't know, those are certainly things that people need to go to their own attorney or tax advisor, and we obviously that's another way that folks can give. We'd love to be remembered in those circumstances if our causes are important to those folks, but they'd have to visit with our attorneys to get us included in that. What else is on there?
Yeah, so I see that you have an endowment fund and a general fund, ag scholarship fund, ag education, and of course the sports complex, which I hope we talk about a little bit. So what I hear you saying is, so somebody could actually probably set up some kind of a endowment fund through you with a memorial if they had a cause. Could they do that?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Robin. I don't know that our intent would be to manage multiple endowment funds. Our goal would hopefully be to have them give the money to us and we would hold it in our endowment fund. And we have some guidelines out there as far as how we would utilize that money. Our goal would be to accumulate those funds and just spend the earnings off them. However, we also realize that there might be a project that's important enough or large enough that from time to time we might use some of those endowment funds to help push through on a specific project. But the goal certainly would be to grow that so that you had some income that could cover some of the projects that we would like to do moving forward. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you are correct. And we have, in the ag scholarship, had people give corn, commodity, and we've sold it and have it in our account. So we've given an ag scholarship every year out of this account. They've done some special things like the FFA kids, when they go to nationals and that kind of thing, they've been able to utilize some of these funds that were earmarked specifically with an ag purpose.
Okay.
And so we have done that, and are willing to in certain circumstances. But as I mentioned, we are a volunteer board. So until we have the financial capacity to have full-time staff and manage a few more things, that's,
Is that a
probably.
goal though? Is that
Well,
an
it's certainly
ultimate goal?
something that, as the endowment fund would grow and you have that repetitive income from year to year to year, that certainly we think that would be a benefit to our organization if we could have somebody working on the fundraising efforts on a regular basis rather than part-time for some board
Yeah,
members.
because
And hopefully that benefits the community as
you
well.
said that you're kind of umbrella for Give Big under Lexington, and they, I think, have
A full-time.
a full-time person doing
Yeah.
that. So that's kind of good to know, is that you'd like to expand.
They have two, actually.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
2 full-time staff,
Yeah.
so.
And then one of you mentioned in passing, Red Day. So Bree, can you talk about Red Day a little bit?
So
Do you
Red
already have a
Day-
date planned for that too?
Oh, we do, and I don't have my notes in front of me to know when that is, but it's so Red Day we do more in the February, March timeframe of the year. It is our specific Cozad Community Foundation event that we hold every year. We have for several years done beer and wine tasting pairings for that event. And then we'll have live auction items, silent auction items, to just raise money for our foundation. Most recently, our big project is the baseball softball complex out on the north side of town here. And so that's what our big focus, our big project is right now. So trying to get the funds to help get that going, and it is going and off the ground, but just to help continue to get the funds that we need to continue to make that a reality.
Yeah, so you also plan to pass out a little brochure, you got one in the mail.
Right,
Can you talk about the brochure and then I guess talk about how the complex is going? I know it is up off the ground, if anybody's driven out by there, the dirt has been moved.
A lot of dirt moving.
Yeah.
There's some water.
Yeah.
There's some water.
But if you notice, the water is not on our fields.
Yeah.
So
No.
the money
That's it.
we've spent in engineering and design has worked exactly the way we wanted it to.
Yeah,
So-
compared to the current softball field.
Yes, so we would be able to play on a day like today. Should there be grass out there, we would have been able to play. And so that was obviously a huge focus to the design work that's been done out there. And yes, I would say that I wished we were a little further along than we are right now, but we are being impacted by the rain that we have had, and we never want to complain about the rain, but at the same token, when you're trying to start a construction project, it's not always as helpful as, one might think. So we have, however, been able to prove that the systems that we've put into place out there are working. We have been able to retain all of the water on site that we have been given by the grace of God. So, I think some positive things have happened because that has been a little bit slower. We've been able to prove that. And obviously, once we have planting in place and all of those things, some things that will help us with a little bit more of the water absorption, and we will have some additional, drainage being done. We won't have the amount of standing water we currently have. So I want to assure people of that. They have started working on getting everything laid out so that the footings could be laid. Our goal originally was for us to be playing on it next year, and that still is our goal.
In 2025.
Yes. Now, I'm going to be as transparent as I can be. Obviously, our school sustained an extreme amount of damage, and we are using the same contractors. And their focus has to be on school right now. School starts next week, and we've had that conversation that they really need their manpower there to get as much done as they can. And so we're giving them that grace. And I think that's part of being in a small town and working with people that that while this is our priority, we also have to be mindful about what's right for our community. And it's getting our school back up and operational. And so we are a little bit behind now. Whether we can make all that up, I'm not sure, but we're going to try our darndest. Obviously, they want to get as much done because our goal is still to get grass planted yet this year. And that may take a little more finagling because we may not have all of our construction completed. And obviously, you don't want construction equipment on new seed. So, we're gonna continue to work through this as best we can. But I want to be mindful again about really what the priorities of the community are, and clearly our school is a critical piece to community. So
So can you tell us a little bit about the brochure? Did it go out to everybody in town?
no, I won't say that it
Or
went
where
to
can you
everyone.
find a brochure, I guess,
So-
if you're interested in getting?
There are brochures at the Cozad Business Center, and we may have them dispersed in a few other places over time. There have already been some changes from the time this was printed. This says on here, field 3 of 4 available. We actually only have 1 of those available. So we had three people who have committed to the $250,000 level. And
That's great.
Wow.
it's really awesome. To date, I think we have about $300,000 left to fundraise to get this project to fully funded, which is a greater than $4.2 million project. So I feel very, very good about that. Our community has been extremely generous, and what we want to stress to people again, I can't give at that $250,000 level. We know that that's not everyone's capacity, but we want you to give at what is your capacity. And, you know, one of the conversations that Scott and I had gone out and talked to a lot of our businesses about supporting this project. And what we want to say to people, even if this isn't your
Cause.
your number one priority, hopefully we have people who are still going to support this project, because maybe our next one is, and we're going to want those same people to come back to the table and support this. And it really is about community. We hope that this becomes a space that our community uses. There is a walking trail around the park that someday we hope is a part of the city's master plan and trails project. We hope that it is a place that people will come to the playground when that is completed and play at the field. That this isn't just about softball and baseball, it's really about community and about people being out and active in their community.
Is there a picture of the plans anywhere where people can see?
It is on our website,
Okay, what can you want to say?
CozadCommunityFoundation.org.
Okay.
And there are renderings of our complex on our site. And also the link to give is on our site as well through our PayPal. And like I said, people can drop contributions off at any one of the 3 banks, or any one of our board members, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We'll see that it gets appropriately given to Kevin, who is our treasurer.
Just when you were talking, I just thought, you know, I don't know if I've actually seen a picture of what this is gonna look like.
Yeah, so we have had them at Red Day and at Give Big, and we will again at Give Big have our renderings on display for people to see. They are out on our website. I think they've been posted maybe to our Facebook page. We do also have a Facebook page, so I can follow that so that you can stay informed, because
Is that
that
under
is,
Cozad Community Foundation also?
it is.
Yes.
And, you know, obviously, we use that as a means to put out events and, you know, even not our own, you know, other people's.
Yeah, sharing is really important.
It is. And like I said, this is really about community. And I think we have to continue to show that to one another. And we can say it all day, but, you know, by the actions that we have, it makes a difference. So it doesn't matter what the cause is. If it's good for our community, we should all be liking it and sharing it and engaging other people in it.
I asked Bree before you started, places that I am at. Several people had heard, well, first of all, they heard you were going to leave the ponds there.
There
And
will
then
be,
that they were gonna be covered.
in what?
They heard they were gonna be covered though, for safety reasons. And it's like,
I will tell you, there will be some retention on site, and that was designed in our plan.
okay,
There will be some water retention there.
okay.
Again, this goes back to a more city level.
Okay,
Cozad has some water issues.
yes.
We have a high water table.
We do, and unfortunately, you know, when you get substantial rain, as we have had in some years, that we have some flooding that happens. And so we wanted to make sure that we were not going to make that problem worse. So we have the ability to hold all of our water that comes off of that field on site. Now, there is some additional retention that's out there right now because we needed to borrow dirt.
Okay.
And this is who knew dirt was so expensive? But dirt's expensive,
Oh, yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, dirt's very expensive. So we're borrowing some of our dirt on site right now. It is not a long-term goal for us to have the pond that is there on the furthest east side of the site.
Okay.
That will go away.
That'll be.
No, right now, the parking actually is all on the west and the north,
Yeah, uh-huh.
northeast side. But there is room for future development there, and we want to keep that
Yes.
potential for future development, whatever that may be.
Mhm.
But in the short term, we need to borrow that dirt. And so that's what we did. Hopefully over time, we will be able to continue to fill that in and, not have as much retention that's out there as we do right now, but we did need to borrow that. In a perfect world, we'd have enough money to do everything that we want and wouldn't have to make
How
those
much did you say is raised out of 4.2 million?
3.9. So, we are getting there and we're gonna continue to work at it. And, the project is a go. We'll finance the deficit if we have to. That obviously is not our goal. That's not good for our organization,
Right.
for that to be a long-term necessity. But we have the support to do that and we will, if that's what it takes. Because it's really important for us to get the project completed. Like or not like, or be a supporter of softball or baseball or whatever, we have kids that have to go across the viaduct to get to practice. And I don't know if any of you are currently following the roads project that we're gonna have.
That's why I was wondering, at least be ready by 2025.
Yeah, I hope that we are, but that's gonna make that an even
Huge.
bigger mess. That you might have to traverse the railroad tracks to get to the ball fields.
Yeah.
That is not what we want for our children.
No.
And there are a lot of people that use our overpass. And so I'm super excited about the project,
Yes.
but this is not a long-term place where we want
No.
our softball and baseball fields to be. And I think we've seen maybe less kids be engaged in the sports and softball and baseball in particular. Because maybe that's not always an accessible place for them to go if mom and dad are working. So having it in a place that kids more easily might be able to get to might help us.
Do you guys have, like a wish list of projects you want to look into after the softball complex is completed?
It's a great question. We've been pretty focused on baseball and softball.
As Robin mentioned, as we spoke to businesses and folks in the community about this specific project, and obviously maybe this isn't near and dear to their heart, and there's been some suggestions made on other projects, and certainly what we've asked them is, hey, we're looking forward to that opportunity to get into that next project, but right now we're really looking for support to finish this project and ask for you to help us out. And then once we get that done, yeah, let's talk about it. I guess I don't want to throw things out into the community center, some of those kinds of things that they discussed. In the development of this, I think we engaged the community, and this was the one that rose to the top,
Sure.
which is why we tackled it. So I would venture to guess maybe we would take a similar course in the future, once this is done, and say, hey, let's maybe either revisit those original discussions or have some new discussions. What's something that is the important that the community lacks right now?
Yeah, I know as far as the library goes, when we ask the community, what do we need? We always have like a list and just,
Yeah.
I didn't want a specific, just do you already have kind of an idea?
Well, and it's kind of fun too to, this is such a huge project that to, do those smaller ones that, you get immediate
gratification.
gratification from doing, like, I think, we look forward to be able, to do those again too.
Yeah.
Soon, once we get this completed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the whole community understands it because it has been taken a while, but when you consider what the property was previously and
Well, and
the
the
efforts
cost
that
of
it
the
took for us,
project.
these were private owners. It took a lot of negotiations, a lot of time just to acquire the property to begin with, as well as the cleanup efforts and those types of things to get to where we could even begin.
Yeah.
That was a long effort. Hopefully there's some value in that, in addition to what the ultimate final purpose of that property is going to be. I don't know that all of our future exactly.
Give Big for 4 years, but how long has Cozad Community Foundation's been in existence?
2015, I think, is that right?
That's,
I just think I was looking back, I think it's 2015. No, off the top of my head.
And are you a part of the,
Well,
Nebraska,
I was
it's
almost said that
13.
as well.
I think it's 13, excuse me.
are you guys a part of Nebraska Community Foundation?
We are not. That was something that was looked at when they established our organization, and just from a local level, the decision was made not to be engaged with them, not because they're not a great organization, because they truly are, but from what they take administratively and some of those kinds of things, we decided that maybe we could try it on our own. And I think that's proven well for us, because we have been able to keep all of our own assets.
We've been asking a lot of questions. Jose or Melanie, do you have any questions?
I did have questions, but they were already answered, so I'm good on my end.
So Bree, you are acting as president right now?
Correct, yeah. Yep.
And Scott is way down on the bottom. You're a Z. I think. So I know it's on the flyer, but just for the sake of the people who don't have flyers at home that might be watching this, who else is on the board that people could go to and talk to if they have questions?
Sure, so right, any of the three of us, Bree Snyder, Scott Zimbelman, or Robin Geiser, and then we also have Linda Benjamin, Claire Bazada, Kevin Gilbert, Aaron Kitka, Jennifer Howarder, Bonnie Hubbard, Marcus Clipping, Megan Witovic, and Bill Wilkinson.
And then how do you become a member of the board of directors?
I guess I was recruited and asked several years ago if I wanted to be a part of the board. I think we try hard to keep it diverse in our areas of expertise.
And it's definitely
Is that-
a working board.
Yeah, it's definitely a working board. So yeah, giving the time. We meet once a month. More than that, if we're coming up on a big event, one of either before Give Big or Red Day, or if there's, something that we need to act on sooner, we'll have some special meetings, but typically we meet once a month, so it's a lot to get done in a short amount of time.
And is there a term, like a 3-year term, 5-year lifetime?
Yeah.
It's a 3-year term, and as, people vacate their seats, obviously that's when we go out and try to recruit new people. But obviously, I think if there are people who want to be involved and engaged, we will take them, whether that's, on the board side or just to be a helper at our event, we're gonna turn anyone away.
Well, I just always think it's important to ask, because I know when I was working on the 150, I had Melanie shot a lot of people my way that had moved to town and wanted to get involved. So I think it's just always important to say, hey, this is not an exclusive club.
Right,
Right,
Take
yes.
members.
Absolutely,
Not
absolutely,
exclusive.
yeah.
What else do you want everybody to know about you guys?
I think most importantly, the foundation was formed on the premise of bettering our community. And so if there is a project or a need, and as we've talked about our recent storms, there may be a need for philanthropy to become engaged in that conversation if people are finding gaps that they can't fill at home in terms of making the repairs that are necessary and some of those kinds of things. I think we could be a vehicle to people who would be willing to give in order to help others. And so I think that people just need to be thinking about what they want to see happen and what needs our community has that maybe are not currently being met, that we could take before our board.
So you've been around for 15 years. What other things have you done besides the softball complex that people might not know you guys were behind?
So there were several improvements made at the swimming pool, the rock climbing wall, and there were some new seating there, the basketball hoop that's there. We did about a $25,000 investment at the swimming pool several years ago. We've done some Eagle Scout projects with
Greg Rasmussen.
Yep, we did some dugout structures out of the current facility. We've done
Batting
a
cage out
flagpole, we did, yep, batting cage. We've done projects with the Robert Henry for some things that maybe they didn't have financial capacity for, and computers for record keeping, I think, were the most recent. Obviously, egg scholarships, sponsorships for, like I said, the FFA kids.
Is that something that you, I don't want to say smaller things, are you accepting smaller things right now? Or is it really your focus is just on the softball complex?
I wouldn't say that we would say no to something smaller, but clearly our focus has been fundraising for the softball baseball complex. You know, we still have $300,000 we need to raise for that, and we want to bring this home. So we would like to get that completed so that we can work on other things. But again, I don't want to be so narrowly focused that I would just initially say no to something, because I think we would be open to a discussion.
And maybe back to your question, as far as the forming of the board, what our purpose is, I was around and part of that, and Robin was involved.
So you're
Well,
lifetime
shortly
members,
after.
yes.
Anyway, point being is, there's a lot of discussion, and, you know, if you read our mission there, and, you know, promote quality of life in the Cozad community now and for generations to come. I guess the thought was, and I think the sports complex is a perfect example of, we have a lot of great organizations in the community. They all have their purpose, their cause. Who's there to tackle those types of projects? You know, not that they're all, and I love our Give Big Day too, because we give these folks a platform that they maybe couldn't afford or didn't have access to help with their causes, that maybe help with, I don't want to say the smaller projects, because I don't want to belittle it, because they're certainly important, but that we can help get people in front of those organizations for maybe some of those smaller issues. Our goal, I believe anyway, would be to help those folks out. We'll still look at smaller, but the goal would be to continue to try to tackle those types of projects that there really isn't another organization in town. I mean, you know, our city has a limited capacity. They can't just raise taxes and build some of these types of projects. So that's our goal, is to go around and try to make those types of things happen. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything.
Yeah. It's really amazing that that'll be there, and the new art gallery, and then Cozad USA.
Yeah. It's
People have been generous with that.
remarkable.
I mean, it
Yeah.
is, it's just like, that's why I told the new staff members yesterday that they're orientations.
Yeah, we are very fortunate, because we have a lot of people who have been in the past, and I know will continue to be generous in our community. And you can look around at a lot of projects that would not have happened without it.
Right.
We're doing a lot of thinking, Lori.
I am
Yes,
doing
I
a lot of
am.
thinking and trying to
Process.
process some things and process my question. I guess I would just really encourage people to come, call you guys if they're interested in, one, having an organization that maybe they would like to be part of that platform for Give Big, but two, just to talk to the foundation members more about not necessarily putting bugs in your ear about potential projects, but I'm just kind of on a kick right now about communication and transparency and not coffee shop talk.
Yeah.
Let's get the correct information out there in front of people and, you know, be positive about the changes that are happening. So I really appreciate you coming today. Thank you very much. I think next month, because I haven't had it confirmed, that Charitable Fund of Cozad is going to be here. Great. To talk about what they do for the community. So I encourage people to tune in after the fact, which we will post this on YouTube as soon as I have time, or stop by And, we've kind of had a crazy or a month and a half here, so continued efforts and thoughts are on people who are cleaning up and patching up and ripping off and putting back on and fixing stuff. So, anything else for good of the cause before
May I get a photo with you two?
Sure.
On the other, just all three of you.
Sure.
And like I say, I don't know if this is, but I'm gonna submit, because these deadlines